Welcome everyone to the Voice of the Terminus show. Today we have some special guests with us, but let me first introduce our co-hosts here. We have Josh with us. Say hello.
Hey guys.
We've got Lex with us. Say hi, Lex.
What's up, people? I'm beautiful now.
In the background we have the wonderful Shy, who's moderating chat for us and everything. Say hello, Shy.
Hello.
And we're joined by three gentlemen from Visionary Realms to sit down with us and chit-chat a little bit about Pantheon. First off, we have Kilsin with us. Say hello, Kilsin.
G'day, guys.
Then we have Ben Dean. Say hello.
Hey, guys.
And we have Convo with us as well.
Hello, everyone.
So we're going to sit down with these gents and try and talk a little bit about Pantheon. So before we kick off all the questions and everything, would you guys like to introduce yourselves? We'll start with you first, Kilsin. What you do at VR and who you are?
Certainly. I am obviously Ben Kilsin Walters, and I am the community and web manager that get to work, basically be the voice between the team and our awesome.
Cool. That's on his driver's license, by the way. Ben Kilsin Walters. It's...
I had to pay a bit extra, but got it on there.
Nice.
Worth it.
So next up is Ben Dean.
Hey guys, I'm Ben Dean. I'm the producer of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I also serve as the Director of Communications for Visionary Realms.
Awesome. And then last but not least, we have Convo.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Tim Wathen. I'm a game designer with Visionary Realms.
Or Wathen, in my case.
Or Wathen.
Awesome. So, Josh, do you want to start the interview with these gentlemen?
Sure. Yeah. So the first question I have is with regards to the fluid animations of the PCs and NPCs. Is that still being worked on? And if so, how close are you to finalizing these movements? Start with you, Kilsin. Sorry, I'll just keep it open. There we go.
Yeah,
so I put Kilsin on the spot here.
I suddenly felt like we're on a dating game or something. Match number one. What do you think?
Just need that dun, music in the background.
Maybe the gong show rather than the dating show.
I can weigh in on this. I have a bit of... I'm in touch with animations fairly frequently. We've decided to change to a text-based MUD. We're not... No, I'm just kidding. No, the animations are coming along really well. We got, as you know, we got on a really talented guy by the name of Ross Armstrong. He not only is doing the animations, but he's kind of leading the team. He's laying the groundwork, establishing the pipelines, and that sort of thing. And it's he showed us some of the stuff that he's been working on recently, and it's... I think you guys are going to like it. It's pretty impressive stuff. It's top quality, in my opinion.
Cool.
Yeah, sure is. There's not much to add on that, but
yeah, how close are we to finishing the movements? I think was the other part of the question. There's a lot to be done because you have to consider that there's different races. Not that they necessarily have very different animations, but sometimes they do. And then you have to consider, what's a running animation look like with a sword? What does it look like with a shield? What does it look like with a hammer? What does an overhead strike look like with a hammer versus a sword versus a staff? What does jumping look like? What does jumping sideways look like? What does jumping diagonally look like? What does climbing look like? There's a lot when Ross put together the list, we just all looked over at it and just kept on scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. There's a lot to go in, but we're sort of prioritizing what's important now, what's going to look cool now. So that's where we're starting.
And I take it that process is going to be an ongoing thing.
Oh yeah. It's gonna there's months, easily months. Yeah.
Okay. We've seen a couple of those demo videos from Ross too, like to show some of those animations, and you guys are going to lose your minds compared to what you've seen us show in streams in the game so far, compared to what he's doing behind the scenes. It looks.
This is brought to you by Ben Kilsin Walters. You're going to lose it. Lose your
blame me if you don't like it, but honestly, I think you guys will. It looks really good.
Not only that, but he's made a lot of progress in the time he's been on the team. It's actually kind of amazing.
Yeah, he's just a joy to work with. He's so professional, and he's, and he knows his stuff. But he's very, very modest too, which are all qualities
He's like the opposite of Veronica.
So it sounds like we got the next person we're gonna run down for a spot on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna get him on the show.
Aren't you guys all modest though?
Yeah.
In some way.
In some way.
Depends who you ask.
I'm a modest gardener.
I would bet there's a few people on staff who would say that I am not modest.
So this next question is going to be one that I'm very, very interested in. So I know there's also a lot of people who are going to be foaming at the mouth when I read this one off here. What can you tell us about bards being in the game?
Tim.
Perhaps, what type of bard might we happen to see in Pantheon?
We're all going to say the same thing. I don't know yet. Right now, we're really focused on the 12 classes that are in the game. Mm-hmm. And Bard is not one that we're working actively on right now. Sorry.
It's understandable. It's understandable. I mean, that's 12 classes to design, develop, and polish.
Yeah, so priority is going there. We still hope to have Bards soon, but no promises. It is one of the, that and Necro. They're all classes that we want to get in there, but right now we have to focus on the 12.
How about this? In terms of the Bard, at least right now, is it looking promising to see them at release?
I don't even want to comment on that because, the reason why is because it's not that we're trying to hold anything from you guys. It's just that I don't know. As we have planned now, the sprints and the planning that we have set forth, it's just not included in the near future planning.
Mm-hmm.
If we meet all those milestones on time, and there's no complications that come up, laugh. Mm-hmm. There's always complications that come up in any project. Yeah. Then but I'd hate to even speculate on whether it's going to make it for launch or not at this stage. Maybe next year we might have a better idea if we're going to be able to do it, but at this stage I can't even comment on it.
Right, and that does make sense.
We should probably let them in on the time constraints and tell them that we're probably going to merge the Bard and the Necro into a Necrod.
I am so there.
Hey, I'm gonna have to claim that idea though. With my Cleroid, the cleric and the druid.
No. But I mean, it makes sense that you can't really say a lot on that right now. And one of the reasons that I asked that was so that you could actually say something along that lines, because it's probably incredibly difficult for you guys to say something that isn't a certainty, because you're getting people's hopes up, and you really don't want to shatter their dreams.
Yeah, no.
I don't know about Kilsin.
Well, the thing is, though, as well, that does not mean, though, that what Joppa said back then is still not, the case. They can't say it for definitely that they're going to put the Bard in or try and get they're trying to get the Bard in by launch. Yeah. But it's something they can't give 100%.
Yeah. And so when Joppa said that, he said that at PAX East, I think. Mm-hmm. When he said that, we were just coming off the heels of what had happened at that point was that we had gotten the new abilities system in, the new abilities tool that Jason Wyman had been working on. And as part of a demo of kind of the functionality of it, he showed how Bard songs can easily be used in this tool. And with that piece taken care of, it simplifies making the Bard a lot more. Mm-hmm. That being said, it doesn't mean we necessarily have time to put it into the existing schedule, but it does mean that it's completely doable. It's not. We're not going to be facing a brick wall when we do get around to it.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, and we want to do it. It's just going to depend on time and other things.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
but as I said, if not, we'll have the Necrod.
I'm gonna have to do something evil with that now.
I'm so there.
You know this is going to come back and bite us. Like, you know, I can just see like 6 months from now.
Heard it here first.
Brad's going to get some random question at a show or something. He has a card coming.
We're gonna have to do an additional show
Look what
in August.
you've done.
In April, we're gonna have to start a week later with our break, and we'll talk about the new class. We'll do a class speculation on the Necron. Anyway, let's move on with the questions. So, if you can, are corpse funds still in your thinking? Do you feel some sort of change to that system might take place?
Tim, do you want to go on this one?
Sure. I mean, I think in general terms, I think the corpse run stuff is still on the table for us, of course. But I think the biggest takeaway, and to just kind of understand the philosophy of death in our game and why we think it matters, is a good example actually would be back in pre-alpha, where you would see players in, say, Hunter Cave at the zone line, and you know, they're a little reckless. And as they get deeper in, you can see the tension build and things slow down, and people just really, really take their time to get through those areas because they know if they die, there's consequences to it. And I think the key thing to take away from a question like this is that we want tension to exist in our game. As far as what the finality is of that, that's still to be determined, but tension is probably the key word there.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a subject of frequent conversation, and every time, at least I'm not in all of the design calls. I every once in a while I get into one of them, but I remember one call where it came up and we started talking a bit about it. And every time that it does come up, it's always the one thing that's always true is that we do, like Tim said, we know we want it to have that tension, you know. So ultimately, whatever system ends up being, it's going to have the fact that you don't want to die. Yeah. That's our ultimate goal. Whether that includes corpse runs or not, I can't say with certainty right now. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I've heard ideas from both sides, but it will always have that tension. If there's no corpse runs, there'll be something else to make you not want to die.
Definitely, yeah. There's always
meaningful.
There's positives and negatives to corpse runs, and I'm sure you've heard all of them. So
yeah.
There's definitely alternate ways to go about it as well, I'm sure. So when we look at the abilities and spells, how set are you regarding the class abilities and spells? Is that still subject to change, or have you settled on each class's set abilities? What more could we possibly expect in that area?
I would say that abilities are open to change well through to 2050, because if you're not constantly taking feedback from the community and making things the best that you can, then in my opinion, you're just not doing your job. We can launch a game and just leave it and just forget about it, but why would we want to do that? No, they're always going to change. That being said, I think we have a pretty good core.
And Ben, that's what I was kind of jump in and speak on. I actually just recently had a conversation with Chris Perkins, who is our creative director, but has also been leading up the class design and just talking about classes in general. And if you guys just look at the class reveals, I think the core of what you can expect from a class is in there, but by no means is that displaying all the abilities that we expect them to have, and obviously the testing that comes into place. But there's still more to come that hasn't been revealed, and that'll be something probably Chris Perkins will do one day in the newsletter. And then if you even think about things like abilities dropping in the world for classes, we really haven't talked about stuff like that, but it's going to happen, and we're excited to talk about it down the line.
Cool. I'm going to segue on that one for just a little bit. I'm going to ask you guys, what are your favorite abilities that have been shown so far?
Trying to think of what's been shown. I don't know. I've always played a paladin, and what I particularly love about this paladin, Chris and I talked about as Chris likes to get input from everybody, and some people, I know one person's very, very passionate about the druid and how that plays out. We've got other people on staff who are very akin to warriors and monks and whatnot. Mine is the paladin. Paladin has always been my class. So Chris asked my opinion on a couple things, and his design was really quite solid. What I really liked about it was that it started playing on some of the things that I viewed as iconic paladin abilities, like the stuns. And one thing that we don't see much of in recent games is mob positioning. And the paladin has a couple of abilities where you can not only push a mob around, but you can also start pulling the mob. So you, as a tank, that's a huge thing, because you can strategically place the mob where you need it to be placed, and having that extra dynamic of being able to pull as well as push. I just love that.
Would that take into account every NPC type of thing? So if it's a massive mob versus something that's a human-sized mob?
Oh, there's the restriction, yeah.
Yeah, so fair enough.
Yeah, you're not going to pull a dragon.
That's what I was thinking. Come here, boy.
You might push it, though. So, I guess, Kilsin, what about you? What's been your favourite ability or spell so far?
Man, you guys know that Rogue is my main. I do love Shaman as well. And probably the Dire Lord will be my 3 go-to. But the Rogue's got some different abilities added. I honestly, I just logged into Dev like 2 days ago with an update, and I don't know what I can talk about, so I'll keep it safe. I like this, what was like in Vanguard, the smoke trick, where you could just drop smoke and drop aggro and disappear. There's like a stance in Pantheon that has that, so I really like that kind of, that stealth ability, so I can creep around and do some, ninja scouting and get that kind of information. So anything that enables me to, go undetected and sneak around is usually pretty cool. Oh. Especially if it's a skill or ability that you need to level up. I know in Vanguard you had to hide and seek, and sneak and hide. You had to kind of level up until they were efficient. So yeah.
I kind of thought you were going to say pushing people off buildings, but
Oh, that goes without saying.
Gotta be all for that one.
Cause a train and cause some kind of chaos.
What about you, Convo?
This is a hard one. Well, maybe it's not that hard. Probably a little biased because the Wizards, my class, and Chris and I spent a lot of time talking about that class, and one of the ideas that came from those conversations was the Fire Flash ability, and potentially the graduation of an ability like that, where the wizard begins to cast a fireball and then basically teleports, and when they come out the other side, that momentum launches this giant fireball on the other end of it. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so excited about having someone like Ross on the project is once you start putting good animations and stuff like that, and the good VFX and all those things, it really pops. It's a really catchy thing to see in the game, and it just makes the class that much more immersive to deal with.
Oh. Yeah. So let's talk some travel. Are we going to see teleportation at all? And if so, like what kind of travel time are you guys kind of looking to achieve in terms of saying to get from one side of the map to the next?
1 real life month. Nah, just kidding. Well, I mean, just to start, I think again, being a wizard and having my ports in EQ I loved, and I had like my little airline service where I would teleport people around to be okay. But so I would definitely expect the wizard and the druid to have stuff of that nature. But also if you think about seafaring travel between continents, I would expect that. And in regards to travel times, that's such a hard one because there's so much to still learn about travel in general with our game, and when you get into zone sizes and what feels right. But I think the goal is we want to feel like the world's big, right? We don't want to feel like we're just jumping into something that's small and you can't really get a good feel for it. You know, it has to have a sense of adventure behind it as well. So I think, you know, it's hard to answer that now, but I think the best thing to take away from a question like this is that we do want the world to feel big when it's appropriate.
Yeah, and an important part about that is when you think of a big open world, you know what doesn't help to make a big world is big open spaces.
Yeah.
A lot of vacant, empty space just counterintuitively makes the world feel small. It feels a lot more big when you have content in there. So world size, very subjective, but it has a lot to do with content.
Oh, and one last thing, and it's I think it will probably happen, but you know, possibly expect some rare clickies that may drop in the world that will port you maybe to one destination every time. You know, an example would, just for the sake of the conversation, a clicky that would always port you to Avenger's Pass or something like that. That's probably not what we would deal with. It would be a more further out, rare area in the world, but I would expect things like that to be a part of the game as well.
That means I'm going to lose a lot of my life collecting those.
So
And also,
it's important. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, you're not going to be able to run in a straight line. Obviously, there's going to be obstacles. You're going to have mobs. There'll be different danger patches, you know, and you know, atmospheres and that in the game. So it's not as clear cut as just running from one side of the chunk or the world to the other, the zone line or whatever. It's, you know, there's going to be different zones. Are going to take different times, different obstacles, and you know, mountain ranges, and obviously with the world feeling lived in and being full and having, you know, dangers, it's going to take different times. Unless you're using like dev or GM hacks, and it's about 2.5 seconds.
Right. Will this game be available on your iPhone? No. Don't you all have phones? Yeah.
Yes.
Pantheon.
You heard it here first. Yes. No. No, that's not right.
Yeah. Right. Back to the serious stuff now. The leveling curve. What length of time can you expect your average player and top player to reach max level when they're playing in a group versus even solo?
You know how many companies have set their times and it's never remotely accurate? Yeah, so we're not doing that. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I mean, how do you play? Do you spend most of your time talking with friends and grouping and having fun? Do you spend most of your time just grinding out the max amount of XP as possible? Do you spend your time exploring? I have no way to answer that. And the fact that we don't have a full 1 to 50 experience right now.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even come close to answering how that's going to be. What I can say is that we want every level to be meaningful. We want it to be a meaningful experience, but how long, I don't know.
And look, we are monitoring it in our testing. We can keep an eye on the testers and see how fast they level, so we can adjust the game accordingly for experience rates and all that kind of stuff to make sure that it isn't just a quick, 1 or 2 days to max level. We don't want it to be that fast, but again, as Ben said, it's up to each individual how they want to.
And that's actually a really important facet of this too. Like anything that we're saying here or in newsletters or on the forums or anything, almost everything is subject to change, and it's largely based on the feedback that we get from players. We're getting some in pre-alpha now, which has been invaluable. I know that Tim's used a lot of that feedback in the stuff that he's working on. I know that Chris Perkins looks at it frequently. Kim's always looking over it. Dan, everybody's looking over all of this information. That's just going to get more and more. Like once we get into alpha, there's going to be more people playing. We're going to be asking for more feedback, and then beta. Hopefully, by beta, we'll have things pretty narrowed in. But yeah, player feedback is always going to have it's going to change the game in ways that we don't know yet, because you guys players in general come up. They're more minds than what we have on staff right now, who come up with lots of great ideas or feedback that can work. So
I'm pretty sure that the leveling curve is going to be, it's mostly one of those devils to kind of master, because you've got people with all kinds of different experiences as well. So if you try and slow down the curve for the more hardcore pressing players, it makes it tougher for those that aren't so hardcore. It makes it even longer for them as well. So it's finding that right balance as well to kind of, balance it all out and make it suitable for everybody is also going to be a pain in the ass to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the big thing is we constantly got to be asking ourselves, is this fun?
Yeah.
Are we doing it? Are we doing it because it's fun, or are we doing it because we just want to create barriers? And I think that there's a balance there as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So even I cringed on that question, because in the past, whenever a company says, "Oh, you're going to be 250 hours," yeah, divide that by 2 and you might be close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
People don't need sleep. That's what they don't realize. It's ridiculous. So with regards to guild structures, I know this is something that normally gets centered around after all the other development areas have been done, but has there been any thought on any guild structures? Has this been looked into, and how do you see it maybe working in Pantheon?
When you say guild structures, are you talking like buildings, or just the way that guilds are working in Pantheon?
Guilds are working in Pantheon, basically.
Yeah, I don't have much to comment on this because we haven't. Hasn't been in one of our milestones yet. Yeah. That's not to say it hasn't been thought of, but we haven't fully fleshed out design docs. Tim, do you have any more on it?
The only thing I have on it is the building of our social system in general, which like our senior programmer Robert has been involved in, who is just an amazing programmer. Obviously Daniel, who's our lead programmer. Those are things that are always being worked on, but they're not in our game yet. And until we get our social system in our game that involves not just guilds but groups and all those things, we're probably not going to deep dive into what it means to be in a guild and what that looks like. Team chat and all those things that come with being in a guild.
Yeah. I was working with Rob and Dan quite a while ago on some of those ideas and just relaying some. I had a really big thread before I even joined the team. I had a really big thread that was just based on guild functionality and what would help with a guild interface, because as a guild leader, it was just blowing my mind how hard it was to try to manage a guild with so many people all around the world in such a little narrow space and very little informational tools. So they know that. There was a huge list that I put forward to them, and Rob, who was working on that, and Dan both loved it, and they were really happy to receive that kind of information. So they were reading from the community as well, and all our ideas. I was updating a bullet point list that was about 30, 40, 50 bullet points long. So
is that all?
They've got that information, and they will be taking feedback as that kind of comes back around to being implemented. Yep. I'm sure they'll get me to speak to you guys more. But
it's a social game. Let's be honest. Big emphasis is being put on playing with friends, making friends, building communities. So it's going to be a pretty important part. It's just not what we're working on right now.
That's good news.
Here's a question that's probably going to give me a pink slip in my inbox. So, how far along in development is Pantheon, and how soon is it going to be until beta?
Well, we finished pre-alpha 4, so that's how far along it is. And beta is TBD, or TBA.
There you have it.
Yeah, it's the most commonly asked question, and if I had a better answer, I would certainly give it to you. But there's
honestly, it's a better answer than what we give. We usually just say it'll be out when it's out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to comment on. Like, we have our internal goals, and that's what we work towards every month, and that stretches out over a certain period of time. But what that doesn't take into account is the good and the bad. So it doesn't take into account if there's a major complication that we didn't foresee. Of course we pad to make up for obviously time that we know the unforeseen is going to happen, but you can't. That's anybody who's ever run a project before, managed a project before, knows that you can never predict the exact amount of time that's going to take. But on the positive side, things speed up greatly when we get more funding too. Right now we're doing fine with crowdfunding. Thanks, guys. But we're still looking into investment opportunities from investors. If that happens, or when that happens, then that changes things drastically. So any date I would give you now is 100% guaranteed to be wrong. So
but it's still a guarantee.
But at least we got it now, officially, so we can take that little clip. And then we'll clip that, and every time that question comes up in chat when we do a show, we'll just play that off. Beep.
So that was actually going to be the next question. Well, to add to that question is, are you happy with the size of the team that you have developing the game that is currently there, basically?
I'm going to turn this over to Tim, because Tim once said to me, he says, I like the fact that we're scrappy. I think he's good to answer that question.
That's interesting.
That's awesome.
Explain that a bit more in detail. Scrappy. There we have it.
Yeah, I think in general we probably do more per person than probably if we were a bigger team. And it's not to say we won't grow, but there's something to be said about slow growth where you can get to know people and just really bond and get people on the same page before you move forward. Personally, I feel like if we were to just hire a bunch of people and throw them in the pot, I hear an echo. I'm sorry about that. If that's me. But if we were to just throw them all in the pot like that, I think you're probably burning money early on anyway, because a lot of people are just sitting around not knowing what to do. But the slow growth, we can spend the time with the people, we can onboard them properly, we can get to know their character, which is really important to everyone on the team. And just make sure that they work out. And some people work out, some people don't. So there's good. You take the good with the bad, and I think I wouldn't trade this process for anything. I think it was meant to be this way.
Excellent. Nice.
Exactly, man. I think the small team is awesome. We're so close knit. It's like there's so many personalities and so much positivity at this level with this size. Everybody knows everyone and talks to everyone. We're not just a big faceless company that doesn't know what the other departments are doing. We're really intertwined, and I think that shows. I think it makes a big difference with our work, but I think it also shows on the outside. And we will grow and make things a bit faster, how we process things. But I really enjoyed how it is now. The teams. Yeah.
I've got to ask a question additionally to that though as well. You guys are all over the world. You're spread out all over the world. So how is that different to having a company where you're in an office building, 9 to 5 every day? How is that different for you guys? How's that experience been?
It's different in every way possible. Well, I shouldn't say in every way possible, but it's cool in some ways. Like for instance, when I go to bed at night, I know that Ben Walters and that Daniel Cren and that Rob are over there in Australia working on the game. When they go to bed, they know that we're getting up and working on the game. So we always have somebody that's doing something. That's really one of the huge benefits of it. But there's downsides too. Obviously, it's difficult to get. If you need a lot of people on a call, it's often difficult to orchestrate what time you're going to do that call. And somebody always has to bite the bullet. It's either going to be super late for somebody or super early for somebody. But we try to distribute that as much as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to accommodate for that. So you try to keep. I'm actually looking into some solutions right now to help communications even further. Right now we have various tools to keep in touch, whether it be through Skype or whatever. But I'm looking to even better tools. There's a few. There's Slack and there's Facebook Workplace, and so we're looking into some of those to even help the process even further.
Well, you'll be the first company to say that your catchphrase is "We worked on this game 24/7," basically.
Yeah.
That is the perk of it for sure.
And it's
I think the other thing is if we were in an office, we'd probably all be sitting there saying that Veronic makes good calls.
And the thing is, it's really admirable as well. That's something not a lot of people know about you guys. You're spread out throughout the world. You don't have a big office building where you all sit together, from morning till evening till night or whatever, working on the game. You can't communicate with each other, as frequently, as regularly as it is when you're in an office. And that's admirable to see how the workflow is with you guys, and how you've been, designing the game, and the workflow that you've had. It's just amazing to see how it's done, on such a level when you guys are spread out all over the world and communicating, like you said, over Skype and all these other platforms to work on this project. It's really cool.
That's it. And a fun fact, when everyone's getting up in the morning, like 7 a.m. Eastern American time, it's 11 p.m. for me when I'm posting my CM questions and then hanging around for a few hours to monitor them. So it's kind of weird. Like, I'm just getting ready to go to bed, posting my questions, seeing all the initial answers just as everyone's waking up, having their coffee, and then it's like a tag team, and Ben and Tim and everyone come on and take over. So we're constantly watching feedback because there's always someone reading, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because the VoT is, to a smaller degree, very similar, where we're spread around the world. I'm kind of curious if something has happened to you guys that has happened to us, where we've sat down for a group meeting and someone has come to their PC and just their underwear.
Oh, I'm 100% sure it's happened because I've done it. Thing is,
you're just lucky my webcam isn't on right.
Just don't activate the camera. That's all I gotta say.
That's why whenever there's there and I don't have my camera on, someone says, "Why isn't your camera on?"
You notice how there's
You
notice how there's a lot of pink VR circles in the channel right now? Well,
underwear.
There's a reason for that.
Our cameras are all unplugged, mate.
Yeah. So, will lore be woven into the quest lines within the game, and do you expect there'll be race-driven quest lines in the game?
Yes.
Sure.
Next. Yeah. One of the things that we wanted to focus on now is to start bringing more of the story of Pantheon into Pantheon. Justin and all of the designers really have, all of the creative team have really spent a lot of time building a world and a story, and now it's time to start infusing that into Pantheon.
Cool.
So we've talked a lot about Project Fairthale in our newsletters and whatnot, and you're going to see that when Project Fairthale is finally done, you're going to finally see some of this soul that has always been at the core of Pantheon, but maybe not easily seen in the videos and streams that we've done so far. I think that's going to change with Project Fairthale.
Cool.
That certainly got me on the edge of my seat.
Good.
So this next question then, Lex. I think it's going to have a lot of people on the edge of their seat listening in, and then we're going to get a really soft, nice little. What is the next area we might be shown on the map?
I don't. Tim, do you know the answer to that?
It would. My guess is it would involve Project Fairthale.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know how much deeper I can go from that.
Yeah. No. We can't. Yeah. I know what you're thinking. Like Fairthale, though technically it was released to pre-alpha testers. I think it's safe to say you're going to see Fairthale. And you'll see a different, not a different, but more of Fairthale than you have in the past. What comes after Fairthale? Chris and I were just talking about this the other day too, and I forget.
Don't forget.
Yeah, I don't remember it well.
Yeah, I have some ideas, but I don't want to speculate.
Yeah.
Just in case. But yeah.
Gargle or riot.
Aren't they on the false continent though? On the other continent?
I don't care. It's all connected underwater.
We're not quite there yet.
Well, you can just fast travel there, right? By opening up your mini map and clicking fast travel.
Oh, you heard it, mini map.
Yeah. Disclaimer: there is no mini map. I was kidding. It was just
type in. God knows.
It's too late now. It's too late now.
It was a jab at other games.
It is, because you know what's going to happen is somebody's going to take just that clip and post it somewhere.
They're going to take it completely out of context.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Gee, we're not used to that at all.
Yeah.
There goes my weekend putting out that fire, thanks to you.
Yep. Forums are going to blow up.
Yeah, I can't say we talked about a mini-map in forever. I don't even... It's not even part of our dialogue.
Yeah. Right. So in terms of the environments, are you happy with the way it's coming along? Can you give us any ideas about any of the new environments created?
Ooh, that's a big question.
Project Fairtale.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Cool.
That's about as far as we can go without spoilers. I know you want spoilers, but trust me, it's going to be worth the wait. If we give you the tidbits on it now, it'll just ruin the experience.
That's okay. After the show.
What I can say is it's more philosophically, like just seeing the way that things are being developed and the way that the teams are coming together now, developing, making this world. We got another 3D artist on board. We've got Ross Worthley, who just came in as well, and he's fitting in really well. We've got Fernando Flores, who came in as a VFX artist, so he's putting his touches on the world now too. And it's I don't know. It's going places that it hasn't gone before, and it's pretty cool.
So it's to take away that it's still an important aspect of your thinking.
Absolutely. I think a big takeaway from Project Fairtale, when we do it, I think when we do a release, I should say, I think it's a good visual representation of what we want our game to look like, feel like, all those things that come with it, and then who knows from there. But I would anticipate, being pleasantly surprised.
Great, very nice.
And then it will be seen, and then it will be like, we have to make this bigger, we have to make it better, we have to make it, and then you have to do it all again.
It never ends, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So now comes the only question that really matters. The one that the 40 plus people that are currently in chat really came to hear answered. I mean, don't kid yourselves. We all know that's why you're here. Who is the VoT host with the most?
Kilsin.
Yes. He's not a host.
Yes. That was my vote.
No, all of you guys are awesome. You're all awesome. And the community as a whole is awesome. We've got so many people that have put so many. I was telling you guys that you put in so much work. Sometimes I wonder if you don't put in more work than we do sometimes. But you guys and all of the other people who are doing podcasts and streams and blogs and websites and videos, and I just got to give hats off to everybody.
Definitely.
Yeah. Man, I've been hanging out with you guys so much. I'm going to have to start paying rent.
Yeah. I've been saying earlier on that you've been hogging the VR FaceTime.
That's it. I usually joke and say Yanilla, but you guys are a great team. I know the work that goes into behind the scenes and what you guys all do. So I'm not going to say Yanilla this time. Sorry.
Hang on a minute. Before we drift away from that, hang on. Before we drift away from that, somebody has to take that bit. I usually joke about it and say Yanilla. What does that mean?
That means every time someone votes for you, it's a joke.
No, I love it, all you guys. You guys are killing it, man. Like, it's such a great team, environment, and I know how hard you guys work behind the scenes. So yeah, I take my hat off to you guys. You do a great job, which is why I don't mind coming on and why I love supporting you guys.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, I was happy to come on here. You guys have been awesome.
Another acceptable answer would have been Josh or Lex because they don't bug me so much.
Yeah, but if he didn't bug me, I wouldn't be on here all the time. So it's good. I'm really busy, so I'm glad that he reaches out. You know, it's not harassment either. Like it's a nice steady pace of a bit of a break, and it hits me up. So that's why I'm always happy to come on and drag as many of these guys as I can with me.
Let's put the record straight, Kilsin. You filed a restraining order. That basically only allowed me to reach out every couple of months rather than how I used to do it every day.
He's limited to 5 emails a month.
And I have him blocked on all platforms except for Discord.
Yeah.
No more Snapchatting with Yarn.
So when the word Yanella comes on, it just goes straight into your spam box.
And
Boom.
again, you know, we still have 10 minutes, so we'll shoot for some questions from chat as well that Shai has gathered for us. But before we do that, again, I still want to say thank you to you guys for going out of your way, especially during this very busy period, to come on, sit down with us, have a chat with us, and just have some fun. And Kilsin, again, a special thank you for you for helping getting this set up. You know, it's really great. This is a great way for us to celebrate our 3 years of doing this, supporting you guys. Which will officially, you know, will be next week, where we get together with the community and celebrate with them the 3 years of the VoT. So again, thank you guys for coming on.
That's pretty big. That's 3 years, man. No, it's
pleasure, bro.
It's fun for us, honestly. This is kind of fun stuff. When we're doing events and going to these conventions and stuff, you see everybody wants to go because everybody wants to talk with our fans, and it's sad that we can't have everybody go, and it's sad that we can't have everybody on podcasts. But because it's fun for us, it's invigorating. So thank you.
Yeah, congrats, guys. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So, Shai, you have some questions?
I do. Are you ready?
Are they about Pantheon or just in
No.
general?
Some of them are. Okay, so we've got the first one from Fragile Hacks, who actually was nice enough to give me a whole list of them. Will raids have instancing? And if not, how do you plan to keep the content accessible to guilds that do not bat phone or spawn camp?
Tim, you want to take this one? I can comment too if you like.
That's just not something I can really technically dive into.
Yeah, I can tell you that instancing is.
Other than that,
instancing is not really on the plate right now. But we hear the concerns as to what happens when instancing isn't there, and we are very keenly aware of them.
Oh, great.
Yeah. There's a multitude of ways that we can deal with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
This is one of those questions where it's like you just got to have a little faith.
Yeah, that's it.
Next question is also from Fragile Hacks. Will there be any tweaks to the race class matrix before launch? As in, Dark Mirror Paladin, Shaman, wink wink, nudge nudge.
Probably not. Not that I know of.
Yeah, it's not something that's come up. We haven't discussed anything like that at this point.
And he also would like to know if Scar or Dark Mirror models have, if they're planning on being revealed yet.
I don't know when exactly we're going to reveal them. What I can tell you is that they are done. The models are done. They're not. I think they're in the rigging process right now, if I'm not mistaken. And they will be in game within the next month or so. For those that aren't in the game already.
Cool.
But as that doesn't mean that they're going to be revealed. Doesn't mean that we're going to be ready to show them, because even once they're in game, there's still work to be done on them.
Yeah.
And then he also would like to know, how far away are we on the new website and/or forum?
Yeah, Ben, how far are we?
Well,
let's put him on the spot.
The thing is, I do have a target date now. but that target date is so fresh that I don't want to share it just yet because it's not locked in. So where we are with it right now is that I am finishing up some work with some of the branding, because we want to make sure that when we do the new site, we want to make sure that the brand is what's the word, consistent with kind of the guidelines that we're setting forth for it. So that's kind of the area that we're working on right now. Once we have those pieces put together, it's a lot easier to refresh the website, because then we can go to the designers and say, hey, refer to this. These are sort of the guidelines, and then we'll have a lot more art components and stuff like that too that they can use. So that's where we're at in the process right now. Designing a website can take anywhere from a month to 2 months, depending. And then it can take even longer depending on how complex it is. But and then there's the actual implementation. So given all of that, you can sort of start to establish a timeline, but I'm hesitant to do so. Anyway, let's just play it safe and say that we're aiming for this year.
Okay.
I think that's about as safe as I can go.
Nice.
I probably should have just opened with that instead of being so long-winded about it. This year.
We love hearing your voice.
And then the final question is from Texan, and he wants to know, regarding travel, are roads going to be safe paths, or will there likely be encounters?
I would likely encounters. Maybe not so much early on, especially when there's guards on the road. But there's already areas in our world where even if you're on the road, you're probably still going to catch aggro if you're not careful. So one thing about our game is you definitely want to be careful when you're moving and just pay attention.
There was one question up in chat. I'm going to read it off because I'm actually kind of interested in the answer to this one too. But I will start this off by saying you guys will definitely get to be able to just say pass on this. This one's from Access Denied. Will there...
Sorry.
Will there be repercussions for guilds that try to do things like monopolize important areas and rare spawns,
one
etc.?
of those questions.
Yeah, like I said, you get a pass.
Well,
I'm
I don't want to
myself.
pass because it's not like I don't want to avoid the question. Here's the thing. It's such a complex question because as soon as you start enforcing any kind of laws like that, any kind of rules like that, you have to be consistent. So what happens for Group A must also happen in Scenario B.
Right.
That's where it starts getting really complicated because A, in most situations, you're not there. Like the GM or a customer service or whoever ends up dealing with it isn't there. We'll have some information from logs, but that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. And then you have to think, okay, now there has to be an evaluation process. So you have to start thinking about all these components and just start deciding how far down the rabbit hole not only do you want to go, but can you realistically go? Now, that sounds kind of doom and gloom, saying, oh, well, they're not going to do anything about that. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that the answer isn't simple. And it takes, I don't know, it's gonna take a lot, but the good news about it is that we have a lot of experienced people on staff thinking about these things. And as we develop these ideas, we'll share them with you as soon as we have them. But we are discussing them internally and figuring out the best path to go about it. We do have to be consistent, though.
Yeah, and it's also pretty safe to say that this is one of those things. It's obviously a very important topic.
Yeah,
and it might not be something that's easily corrected. It might take time to figure out the proper solution.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that you just never know what people are going to do. In MMOs and gaming in general, the gamers will always find things that you never thought of. And they're going to. Some people are going to use that to grief others.
Yeah. A lot of it we can watch in testing. A lot of it they were doing testing, which we can watch, but there's a lot of that stuff they'll keep to themselves as well. And then when the game goes live, we're going to see things that we've never seen before. That's just going to blow our minds, and we're going to have to then react and deal with it accordingly. But there's a lot of things we'll have to take into account. But the team is aware of it, and we are looking. We're all gamers like you guys. We've all been affected by things like this, so we do know what to look for. And it's just a matter of, catching as much of it as we can before it goes live, and then dealing with the rest in an appropriate kind of manner as we go on.
Cool. So before we end it all, Ben, I've got to ask you one question. You sat down with, I think, Baz last year. I think it was in December. Talk a bit about the streamer program. That we would hear a lot more about it this year. Is that still on course for us?
Yeah. So the thing about the streamer program is, right now we're getting in as many people as we can when it makes sense to do so. The problem is, for anybody who's in pre-alpha, they know that our pre-alpha windows are small. And we like to do the streams during that period of time because that's when we know that there's a stable, showable build. So you can only do so much in that period of time. So we're getting through the list at a relatively slow pace. That being said, we do want to open things up more. The details of that, specifically how that's going to happen, I don't have yet, but Linda Carlson and one of our marketing people, Alicia Basali, they're both working on it, and in fact, I think it's next week that we meet to go over the next phase of it, to discuss the next phase of it. So cool. You'll definitely hear more about it. That doesn't mean you're going to be more people are necessarily going to be streaming this year, but we hope so anyway.
Cool. So again, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
And it was great to sit down with you, especially with Convo and Ben Dean, first time here.
Oh, thanks.
Hopefully,
would you say that Convo and I are the guests with the most?
I can agree to that.
You're all the most.
Ben, I'll definitely agree with that. Yes.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Since you have the upper hand. Before we go, Ronick asked if we could get the janitor on, instead of Convo. So Ronick, we tried to get you on, but we couldn't. So they gave us Convo instead. Hint, hint. You're the janitor.
What were you talking about?
You make it seem like it's a consolation prize, man. You gotta be smart.
I'm just not sure you want to talk about it. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, where was the hit? Oh, wow. Where was the hit at Ronick? Oh. You promised.
I did. I said if we all worked under the same roof, we would say that he makes the best coffee.
Yeah, he did say that. You're cutting out a bit when you said that, but I do remember that.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I've been.
Oh, did you guys see that last question in chat? One last question: will there be Ronin Easter egg corpses sporadically throughout the world for us to find as Easter eggs?
Will there be Ronick corpses?
Definitely.
I think that I can say there will definitely be Ronick corpses. It won't be because we put them there. It's because he's just going to die an awful lot.
Level 50 GM dies to level 1 snake.
It would not be the first time.
So with that, that concludes the interview. Next week we will be sitting down and celebrating our 3-year anniversary with guests from the community. We will have the likes of Basgrim here, Minus from Pantheon Plus. We're going to have so many people. I'm trying to think. A few people from our guild will be joining us. We will have...
they're all buying me drinks.
We will have, what's his name? Not Def from BAT, but his co-host. I just can't remember the name. Oh, and Kilsin just say he'll be able to make it as well, so we'll have Kilsin with us as well next week to celebrate the 3 years of the VoT with guests, and it should be a good show. Punkshu, there you go, thank you very much. Punkshu will be with us, and a lot more. Nathan Napalm, I'm just trying to think I haven't forgotten anybody. If I have, I apologise. But it's going to be a big show. Our chat will be open during the show as well, so you can just jump into that Discord, into our channel in our Discord, and just hang out with us and have fun. We're looking forward to that. And with that, have a great weekend, great evening, morning, night, wherever you are across the world, and we'll see you all next Friday. Same
Thanks for having us, and happy anniversary, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Well, it's the same for you as well. Last week you had your anniversary of revealing the game to the world. So,
that's true. Wow.
With that, bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you guys. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Be safe, everybody.